welcome to Books with Lexi. In this video, I'm going to be reading some recommendations. In December, I put out the 12 books from 12 friends in 12 months recommendation post on Instagram, and I got some recommendations. I put out a video in January stating these 12 books, but this is the first video. You may be thinking, Lexi, it is August, and you are correct. I procrastinated. So I am going to be reading these books finally. I read one a long time ago, but I'm really excited to be getting to these. There's no theme to the books that were picked. Like this one is not all going to be horror. It's not all going to be thrillers. It's just books. So the 4 books I will be reading are This Is Where We Talk Things Out. This was recommended to me by Katrina from Katrina Brown. Legends and Lattes. This was recommended to me by Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots, even though she has not read it. Well, she might have at this point, but whenever she recommended it, she did not read it. Fantastic Land. This was recommended by Bree from Four Paws in a Book. And the very long-awaited one, Mary by Nat Cassidy. This is recommended by Cailey from Cailey's Books. Very much looking forward to reading these, seeing if the people that recommended them know my tastes. I'm a little scared to read these, but very excited, so let's get into the vlog. Hi, we're gonna completely ignore my hair situation. I went to bed with it wet last night, and it looks like I have a banana, like a rotten banana peel, because it's brown on my head. It dried in the weirdest way possible, so if I'm just sitting here touching my head and my hair, I am so sorry, but I don't understand. It looks so bad. And it's I don't know, I usually don't shower that late at night and my hair takes forever to dry, and you don't care, so I'm gonna shut up and tell you about This Is How We Talk Things Out. I am currently, I think, 54% into this. I stopped at the end of the chapter, so that's just where it was, and I'm obsessed with this. Oh my god, this is I think it's 93 pages, and I'm reading it on KU. I'm just getting such disturbing vibes from it. So we are following our main character, Miller, and she has a strained relationship with her mother. Her mom was always emotionally abusive and manipulative and stuff, and her father recently passed away, and since then they haven't had a relationship, and Miller's only relative is her mom, Sylvie. So she agrees to do this weekend mini getaway with her, even though she doesn't really want to, but she kind of wants to. And she gets there, and I can't say anything, but it is freaking me out. Not in a ghosty way that I'm aware of, but it's so unsettling. The things that are happening are stressing me out because oh my god. Oh my god. It freaks me out. I can't handle this. I'm absolutely loving this. I'm gonna finish this today, so I will be back later with my awful hair situation. Honestly, I showered last night and I might shower again just because my hair is so bad. But I'm absolutely obsessed with this so far. So I have finished This Is Where We Talk Things Out, and oh my god, this is my first 5-star book of the year. This I was having physical reactions to. I was so stressed from the beginning. This mom was creeping me out. Oh my god. Literally, no. Listen, I won't lie to you. It has been 2 months since I finished this book, and it still stresses me out thinking about it. I don't think this was the most unique plot. The ending is nuts, but it's just the tension that I felt while reading this book. My heart was racing. I can't. Oh my god. I'm still stressed about this book. It was so good. This is a lot of horror with trauma within your family and mother-daughter relationships, which ooh, and also grief and the process with that. Oh my god, there are scenes that I'm so stressed about them. So even though this was a little predictable for me, so none of the things shocked me, but I also wasn't sitting here figuring things out. I didn't predict anything because I was so in the moment, but like looking back, things were somewhat predictable. So that does not bother me. I, in the moment, was absolutely in the story. Like, I usually forget things as soon as I read them, and this one has stuck with me. It is so, so, so good. It's a novella. I think it's just under like 90 pages, so it's a super quick read, super tense. I had a great time slash stressful time personally with it, and I could not recommend it more. So thank you so much to Katrina for recommending this to me. This is no longer on KU like it used to be, but the ebook is on Scribd if you're interested in that. I do have I think it's 2-month free trial linked in the description if you're interested in reading this book. I would highly, highly recommend it. It is so good. And I'm so glad that I started off my 12 books from 12 friends with an A+ choice. Hello. So in order to frame this so that you could see Bowser, because like obviously I ended up sitting in the squeakiest spot on my floor. So if you hear that when I move, it's because the floor is squeaking under me. So I am around a third into Legends and Lattes. This I guess I'm enjoying it. I don't know how to talk about this. So we are following our main character, Viv, who is this green person, which is an orc, who decides that she does not want to live a life of battle anymore, and she wants to run a coffee shop. And like a lot of people don't know what coffee is. So we are watching her like build her shop and then trying to introduce people to coffee, and she is like meeting this succubus who ends up working with her, and then there's some pastries that end up happening. It's fine, but one of the things about me is that I don't picture things when I read, so I feel like a story like this is really difficult. I like generally forget that we're in a fantasy world, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, swish to my tail, and I'm like, oh yeah. So I just don't know if this is like the kind of story for me with my lack of visualizing when I read, because it like is almost, it's not boring, but like there's not much going on, and like the coziness, I don't know if I'm really getting because I can't visualize when I read. So I don't know. It's generally a good time. I'm liking the characters, and I think it's interesting enough that I'm not considering DNFing, but I just don't know if this is going to end up getting above 3 stars for me. And like I feel bad because this is so well loved, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe my feelings will change, and I will let you know if they do. So I'm gonna get back to reading, and I'll talk to you once I'm around 2/3 in. I'm 2/3 into this now, and I don't really have much to say to you, so this is gonna be super quick. I am liking it just about the same. Um, it did inspire me to put together some things that I needed to put together. Unrelated, we're doing like a fake closet build-in situation with like Target bookshelves. So I was doing that, which like they're building things in here, so I don't know, look at me go. But the little start of the relationship is cute, but this just like, I don't know, it's fine. I don't have any issues with it specifically, but like I'm not loving it either. So that's it. Don't come for me if you love this book. I don't think it's bad. It's just like not a book for me. I also don't know how to talk about this book. Like, what am I allowed to say? So I'm gonna finish it. I have finished Legends and Lattes, and this is gonna be a 3-star book for me. I honestly don't have anything new to say. I felt the same about this book the entire time, which is incredible if you are obsessed with the book. And if you're not, like nothing changes. There are like always things happening, but also it feels like nothing is happening at the same time, which I guess is the cozy part of this. I don't know. This is not for me. I will not be continuing in this series. I don't think there's anything specifically wrong with it. I can see why people would love this. Like, I think this was a decent book, but just for my personal taste and what I look for in books and what like keeps my attention, this was not it. So Aoife recommended this to me. She had not read it when she recommended it. So like not a recommendation for my personal taste, just like she wanted to see me read it. So no thoughts on that. I am glad that I read it. I got to see what this book that everyone is obsessed with was about, but I don't know if I'm going to pick up cozy fantasy again in the future. So on to Fantasticland. I feel like you don't get to see Nova often, so here she is. I have started Fantasticland. It is right here. When I'm not holding Nova, I will hold the book up. This was obviously another recommendation from my 12 books to read in 12 months from 12 friends. I'm not sticking to the in 12 month part, but it's fine. I'm currently 30% into this. I'm 80 pages in, and this is a horror book, and it is following these different characters at an amusement park, Fantasticland, when a hurricane hits and they get trapped at the amusement park. I will say the audiobook is fantastic. Did not mean to do that. We are getting interviews from different people who work here or were like at the park whenever it happened. So we got like the former director of like a certain region of the American Red Cross, someone who was visiting Fantasticland, like a shift manager, maintenance person, a character who worked there. This is like a companion competition park to Disney. That is even mentioned in here. And we know at the very beginning, we have the author's note that this hurricane went through. It was really, really bad. And these kids start killing people. We are witnessing different parts of this event. It's kind of going in chronological order through the people that are experiencing it, which I think is really interesting. Like, we know the overall thing because of the very, very beginning with the author's note, and then the story is being told through the historian who, like, it's the very beginning of it. And then we are getting someone from American Red Cross who was like on the outside, and then we get somebody who is like trying to go to the park that day, and they weren't really supposed to be let to the park, but they were anyway. And yeah, we are slowly starting to get into the horror of all of this because people very quickly turn on each other, and it's not a good time. So I think the audiobook is incredible. Like, the one character was like starting to get emotional, and there were like pauses and like sniffling and stuff like that. I don't know if there's a different narrator for every single interview because there's 23 of them, but it's like separated enough that like I feel like we're not getting the same narrator back to back. And if we are, they're doing a good job at like separating it. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I think the setup is really interesting. I just think it's also a little slow paced for me. I appreciate the way that it is set up, but also I want to get into the story a little bit more because, like, even though hurricanes are like inherently scary, the whole like evacuation part and like learning about the weather people at Fantasticland, like making calls for things, isn't quite as interesting to me as where the story is going to end up going. So I think this was a good recommendation. It fits into like the whole gimmicky thing that is fairly popular now. I don't know. This came out in 2016 or 2018. It looks like 2016. And then this edition was 2018, which you don't care about. And there are some comments, so like I can tell that this was written a while ago, but I am enjoying it overall. I hope that it picks up more with like the horror of like the things that are going wrong after they get trapped at this amusement park, but I am liking it, and I will talk to you soon. I have made it 65% into Fantasticland, and I am still enjoying this about the same. I don't really have any updates for you. I did look, and Scrib says there's only 2 narrators, which they're doing an incredible job, and I would highly recommend the audio if you are going to read this. We are starting to get the same situations from multiple perspectives and like learning how different people are perceiving things and their opinion on things. There's some very messed up characters. So the workers are not allowed to have their phones whenever they are working. So whenever they got put into the shelter, at first they didn't have their phones, and then there was like flooding so that they could not get to them. So there's some commentary on like how social media and being able to talk to people outside like influence things like this. And then also how people are just like so into the situation that they don't care about what's going to happen to them after they leave. And it's kind of nuts. It's very interesting. It's dealing with like mob mentality and just how easily people are influenced by other people and certain situations. And I'm enjoying it. It's not a favorite for me. I feel like for me to be more invested in the story, it would need to be in first person, which is how I feel about a lot of horror, I think. Like I feel like I'm more in the situation. And in this case, like everybody that you're following, like how the story turns out for them. So I think that takes some of the tension away, and that is why I tend to love horror, like the stress that I'm feeling. But there's some messed up stuff that's happening. Of course, men suck in here, like, you know. But overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this wraps up. So I will talk to you then. I have finished Fantasticland, and I think I'm gonna go with 3.5 stars for this. I think that the way the story was told was fun, but also for me hurt the story. I feel like we didn't get enough of the plot itself. Like it was fun reading the interviews and like seeing different perspectives on things, but as like interesting as that was, I think it was a detriment to the book for me. This is kind of how I felt about episode 13. This is also told in a similar like interview like thing like that. That one has more variety, but I think that like the gimmick of how the book is written is such a big part of the story, and then the story itself just like fell a little flat for me. I don't know if these gimmicky type of books are for me. I could appreciate it, but I feel like the story fell flat in episode 13, in the appeal, but then sometimes it like adds to the story. I think my thing is I really like interviews and like transcripts and things when it's not the majority of the story. So like one that I did like it in was We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix, but that was just like little bits at the end of every chapter, and I think that just like works better for me. Yeah, the story, like we don't get a lot of different parts of it. I don't know. I just like really wanted more from this, and I don't know how it could have given me that with this style of story. So 3.5 stars. I do see why Brie recommended this to me though. It's a fun setup. It's set at an amusement park, like it's fun, but like something I've learned this year is just that I don't think that this kind of formatting is my favorite. Very glad I read it though, and 100% would recommend the audiobook if you're going to listen to it. I like am shocked that it was only 2 narrators. I swear it was more, but it's not. So I am glad I read this, and now it is time for Mary. I have made it a third of the way into Mary. I just got to part 4, and I'm using my film crew bookmark for Cailey. So I previously have read the first 25% of this. last September I started it. I got 20 or 25% in. I was doing it for a different video. I ended up not doing that video at that time, and then I put it down because I started reading for Halloween. So I started over. There were certain things that I remembered and then others that I completely forgot. So I do think that the first 20% didn't keep my attention super well. Like, I was enjoying it. Like, there was nothing that was really like pulling me into the story. And then once I got past the part that I had already read, I'm pretty sure I stopped at part 3 whenever I read it the first time. So in part 3 is where for me it starts to get really interesting and kind of weird. The direction that this could be going in is interesting, and I'm starting to get really into it. I guess I didn't tell you what this book is about. Mary is a quiet, middle-aged woman doing her best to blend into the background, unremarkable, invisible, unknown even to herself. But lately things have been changing inside Mary. Along with the hot flashes and body aches, she can't look into a mirror without passing out, and the voices in her head have been urging her to do unspeakable things. Fired from her job in New York, she moves back to her hometown, hoping to reconnect with the past and inner self. Instead, visions of terrifying, mutilated specters overwhelm her with increasing regularity, and she begins auto-writing strange thoughts and phrases. Mary discovers that these experiences are echoes of an infamous serial killer. Then the killings begin. Again, Mary's definitely going to find herself. So, yeah, there have been some interesting experiences in this book already. There was just an idea that was introduced, and if that's the direction it's going in, I'm very curious about that. But also, maybe that's not what's happening. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to continuing this. So I'm going to get to it, and I will talk to you again once I'm around 2/3 in. I don't know what to say about this book. This is a weird ass book. I guess, okay, going into this book, I was not expecting the direction that it has gone in. We get hints at a thing that is happening, well, like very direct hints pretty early on. So like I knew about it in the last check-in, and I still was not expecting quite what has been happening. And it's so weird, and like I know it's just gonna keep getting weirder. And I think I'm loving it. But I'm just not quite positive what is happening, why it's happening, how I should be feeling. I don't know. I don't know how to talk about this book. Like, everything is spoilers. I mean, I'm glad I'm enjoying it after putting it off for an entire year, pretty much. Not quite. It hasn't been out that long, but like, as soon as it came out, this was one that was pretty hyped in like my friend group and people that have similar tastes to me generally. So like, yeah, I'm 62% in, so not quite 2/3, but I just got to part 5, which, I mean, another part, and it just felt like a good time to stop. I mean, I don't know how to talk to you now, so I don't know why, but I feel like it's gonna get even harder to talk to you. But yeah, I think I'm really loving this. I don't know how to form coherent thoughts that are like good for videos. So I'm gonna go and I'll talk to you when I'm done. I have finished Mary, and it's taken me a very long time to decide on my rating for this book. I think it was so weird and unhinged, and the direction that it went in was very interesting, but I do have a few issues with this book. There were a few things that happened that I was like, I don't love that. And then my main issue was the length of this book. I think that it did not need to be quite this long. Like, this is a pretty chunky one, And yeah, I just think that for me, it could have benefited from being just a little bit shorter, like not significantly, but maybe even just like, 50 pages. So overall, I very much like this. Did I tell you my rating? 4.5 stars. I'm very happy with this. I'm happy that I read it, but it is not an all-time favorite for me. It was just too long. That's pretty much it. So, to everybody who has been harassing me to read this book, I've done it and I did love it. So, I need to stop putting off books that people specifically tell me to read because generally they're pretty correct. So, I have finished everything for this video. This is where we talk things out. 5 stars. So far, my favorite recommendation. Legends and Lattes, 3 stars. Fantastic Land, 3.5 stars. And Mary, 4.5 stars. So we don't have any terrible recommendations yet. I saved those for later. No, I'm just kidding. The ones coming in the future are more outside of my comfort zone generally. There's not going to be a theme to those besides books that were recommended to me, just like this one. But I think that this was the most horror heavy of the 2 more videos that are coming. I read 4 in this out of 12, so there are 8 more books. The next video, I'm not sure when it'll happen, probably early November, and then the last one will be in December, likely, just because in September I'm trying to read from my shelves and October is Halloween weekend, and I will be reading all the spooky books, and a lot of the books left are not in that category, which is totally fine, but I just want to like theme my content around it. So probably early November and then closer to the end of December, be on the lookout for those for the rest of my recommendations. If you want to see what those are, you can check out my video where I tell you all of them. I will have that linked for you. Also, while you are checking things out, in the description, I will have Michelle's videos that she does. I think she was the one that was initially talking about doing this, and I said, hi, I'm stealing your idea. So please go watch hers. She's actually been keeping up with it, and they're very fun to watch. There is one that I have recommended to her. Anyway, you should check those out next. Thank you, Michelle, for letting me steal your idea. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any content from me in the future, including the other 2 videos in this mini series. If you're looking to find me in other places on the internet, everything is linked in the description, including my Bookstagram, my Storygraph, my Etsy, my Patreon. I think my TikTok is down there. Thank you so much for everybody who gave me a recommendation in this video. All of their channels will be linked for you. Not everybody who gave me a recommendation is a booktuber. I think this is the only one where all people who give me a recommendation are booktubers. But links for everything in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!